The Monday, January 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there's a quorum of the council. Item number 2 and 3, Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Hughes. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you, first of all, for the mercy that you've shown us today. And we just pray, Father, that your grace might be upon our city, our state, and our country, and that we might do that which is right in your sight. Help our council tonight as they conduct the city's business to make wise decisions. We pray and ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Item number 4 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If you wish to address the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the citizens... Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't see movement.
It did as much movement as I can do at my age.
I understand.
Mayor, members of council, my name is Larry Shank. I live at 3765 Dawn Drive. I'm here to speak to the issue of privatization of trash service. First, I want the council to know, and perhaps you do, but as reflected in the Paris News, this issue has been considered several times, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2010, and 2019 at least, and summarily rejected by a referendum in 2005 and 2006. I want the record to reflect and you all to know, and you may already know. I don't understand why we're doing this. I've not heard a great hue and cry for people wanting to get rid of our current trash service. To me, they do an excellent job. So I'd appreciate an explanation as to why it's an issue. Third, if you contract with SWS tonight to the tune of $40,000, I'd like the record to reflect and whether or not in so doing, that is summarily action that shows you intend to go forward with privatization. Is the option still open not to do that? Are we going to hear we spent $40,000 on it, so we've got to go forward? I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about that issue because that brings me to the next issue. In years past when this issue was considered, the council conducted public hearings on this issue before taking any final action. Do you intend to conduct public hearings? And if so, in what part of the process? Finally, I have some level of expertise in this. I've negotiated contracts for trash services before, and there are 3 issues I hope you'll consider. What about quality of service? Are we going to have to talk to somebody in Rockwall, some major corporation, if we have a problem? We don't have to do that now. Longevity. Contracts of this kind are generally in the 6 to 8 to 10-year range plus. What happens to the rate in those years? What happens to the citizens and their quality of service and the rate they pay? Finally, perhaps the finality of the issue. This will be the end of city trash service forever if you do this, because you will sell your equipment, you will let your employees go, and it will be prohibitively expensive to go back to city service. And I'm concerned about also what happens to the employees. Finally, I'd like to read a piece from former city clerk Marlene Rose back in January of 2005 from the Paris News. As a wise man once said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Marlene Rose, 66, said to applause from some attending the council meeting at Love Civic Center. She spoke on behalf of 846 people who signed a petition that was filed with the city last Thursday urging no privatization of residential trash collection service. Our city provides excellent service in the sanitation department with our current city employees doing an outstanding job, she said. I concur today with her long ago assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shake. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public forum. Next agenda item is the consent agenda. Items of the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. A second? A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 23. Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Mitch Milam, Texas Land District, LLC, for a change in zoning from a one-family dwelling district number 3, SF3, to a multifamily dwelling district number 1, MF1, in the city of Paris, Block 281, Lot 6, LCAD 18409, located at 1610 Northeast 15th Street. Staff, you have a presentation, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. The item before you this evening is a revised request from Mr. Mitch Milam to rezone the subject property, as the mayor has just referred to. Property is located here along 15th Street, just a small tiny lot back in from a property fronting on 17th Street. The council has already changed our future land use map, paving the way for this rezoning to occur with a designation of medium density. There is no specific plan before the city at this time for what will be built on this site, but this would allow the initial inquiry, which was for 2F or duplex zoning. The difference with this request to MF1 is that they could all be on the same lot. It would not have to be platted as individual lots. The Planning and Zoning Commission has sent along a recommendation, as does the staff, in recommending its approval to the City Council this evening.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, is there any discussion or questions for staff?
I just had one. Would the applicant, if they decide to do the 5 and 5 program, they'd have to come back? Is that correct?
That's correct. This is eligible property 4, 5, and 5. I might also point out on that question that we have this parcel just immediately to the south, in the proximity of 1 acre in size, that is currently an eligible tax foreclosure property. The applicant's aware of this. We have 2 people on the waiting list for this parcel, and so this may become a very meaningful subdivision development as a part of a future 5 and 5 agreement once a development plan takes shape.
Would that 1 acre parcel, would that be auctioned off?
It's eligible tax foreclosure, meaning it hasn't gone to the sale yet, but it is on the list, and it may come up in the next sale after March 7th.
Yeah, so but it will eventually go to the
Yes.
sale auction?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? I'll hear a motion, please.
I move that we approve the rezoning from one-family dwelling district number 3, SF3, to a multifamily dwelling district number 1, MF1.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 24, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance making minor comprehensive plan amendments to the future land use map in the city of Paris. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item is a housekeeping item currently before the city council this evening. The subject parcels identified here are all contained in part as a part of this action. You'll see from the land use designations that we have some split designations that are not reflective of the actual use of the parcel that is currently in existence out in the field. We identified this as a result of this rezoning process with Mr. Millam, and we felt that it was best to clean up the map so that we don't have split designations in the future land use categories for these properties. And again, the properties identified are as listed here. They're a little bit too much to read in detail for the agenda. But the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the city staff at this point, recommend that you approve this ordinance, making the amendments this evening.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question. So all the landowners were notified of the change or the current?
Correct. We also made the notification according to the 200-foot buffer that's shown on this diagram. So the adjoining property owners also received notice.
No complaints, no
That we
concerns?
did receive some inputs that came back in that just said they were objecting to any commercial development. That's principally what's already there.
Right.
And there was no reasoning. They just were against any changes.
There's already commercial I know the cell barn, there's already that's already commercial use south in that little
Correct.
piece anyways.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, we have some properties, over here. You know, we have a contractor shop. We have another contracting, we have a detail shop. These are basically lining up with what's already on the ground. And so we're not changing the zoning of those properties. We're just setting it up so make sure that the land use expected in the future is consistent with that which is currently in place today. Again, very much a housekeeping item.
Got it.
Further questions or discussion? Then I'll hear a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the minor comprehensive plan amendment for future land use map as specified above.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 25. Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance approving amendments to the master thoroughfare plan in the northeast quadrant of the city.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. We bring this item before you this evening as a result of prior action over the past year addressing relatively important items concerning the future transportation system of our community. The items you see on the screen before you are essentially the area of focus as a part of this current round of amendments to the plan. We focused largely on this area from Main Street or Trunk Highway 271 over to Stillhouse Road, and then roughly coming down to the spur. So this one little small quadrant. As you recall, we took a larger action several months ago where we did a delete all that ran all the way from FM 195, took the major arterial proposed for this area leading all the way over to Lamar Avenue, the far east side of the city, and removed that with the indication that staff and the Planning Commission would continue to work on this item over the course of the coming year, and this is what is now the next stage before you. So we're working our way from 271 back toward that direction, in an orderly fashion, trying to just do it in manageable chunks. One thing that we're doing differently now than was done in all prior years past is we're actually working with the landowners. We're bringing forward these plans, these amendments to the plan. We are sending them out in the mail. We're informing them of it through a public hearing process so that we obtain their input, we get their feedback. This is a valuable tool, and it's been proven to be true through this current iteration on amendments to the plan. So what you have before you is the current plan. The yellow is major arterials representing 4-lane roads, and the red line is the collector road, which we know from the recent discussions and work through North Lamar New Elementary School that this road would become a collector and that we would implement our plan through the point in time when the city has to actually deal with the required dedication and construction of these roads, which is at the time of platting. And so the current plan that is before you is proposed to be amended. This is actually the third iteration of this. The first iteration was prepared. It was sent out to all of the residents, contained that the property, these lines went through or was within 200 feet of where the line is drawn on the map. We resulted in a number of feedback and comments that we received both over the phone, and as a result, the staff made some changes to the map before the public hearing was conducted by the Planning Commission. So that was iteration number 2 of the map. That resulted in some removals of this line that ran through several properties and raised substantial concern from folks that actually had homes and properties that the line ran through. So we removed that. The second iteration followed the amendment that was offered at the meeting during the public hearing conducted by the Planning Commission January 3rd. And that concern was expressed by land that was essentially at this point right here. The line showed to go straight to the east through the south end of this property, and then make it a little curve down and tying into this line right here. So there was objection. This individual attended the hearing, raised objection to the line in any way, shape, or form going across his property. The Planning Commission rightfully respected that input and ordered or approved the recommendation to the council that it be amended to the line that you see now before you. Staff took that input. We made an amendment and we bent it down so it comes into a proper 90-degree angle intersection with Stillhouse Road. That line is shown in green. Stillhouse Road, as a part of the plan, is proposed someday in the future to be upgraded to a 4-lane road. Stillhouse Road currently is a 2-lane, 24-foot narrow roadway experiencing substantial traffic during peak periods for school, principally in the morning for drop-off, and I believe as well during pickup in the afternoon. We had an opportunity prior to the hearings to sit down and meet with North Lamar School Board on January 3rd. There was a very good open dialogue held between staff and the school board because some of this system essentially affects them, as we know. They were in support of the plan changes, the enhancement to the plan, which includes some new lines, as you see here on C8B. It's a change adding new C8C and a new line adding C8D. The line at the very top, which is A8, is principally the same. It's just a slight adjustment to bring it into proper alignment with Lake Crook Road at 271 and to have it follow that proper alignment straight east until it would meet up with Stillhouse Road. And so as a result, we have brought this before the council in its final and third iteration. We believe that the plan is now ready to be adopted for this small segment of the citywide plan. and would urge your approval this evening. I do want to indicate that I had an opportunity this morning to meet with one remaining property owner who initially expressed support for the first iteration, where the blue line stayed along the north boundary of this property. This resulted in a change based on the P&Z recommendation to respect the concerns from the property owner to the east of Stillhouse Road. I know that he is interested in speaking to this item this evening. His property is over here to the west of Stillhouse Road, containing the area that you see before you on this survey. And much of that concern was expressed regarding the high-line transmission power lines that run through the property. We feel that this is a proper way to navigate a crossing of that type of structure. It misses the main structure holding those lines onto the ground and allows it to go through a midpoint between those structures and still provide for ample development on both sides of the collector road, which would become, in essence, a main entryway into the development from the arterial road on Stillhouse Road. I will let him speak to those individually, and certainly appreciate your counsel, hearing his concerns. Again, staff and the P&Z have brought this recommendation forward to you and believe that this is a viable plan. One last very important point that I would like to make about the lines that you see on the map before you right now. These are guidance lines. We have to have something on the map in order to deal with these developments as they come up. These lines are by no means the final placement of the roadway. They won't be built in this exact location. These lines are to send a signal out that there is a need for a roadway to accommodate future growth that is anticipated and expected in this part of the city. And so what we do at staff is we sit down carefully, we work with the developers, we find out what is the best way to serve and meet the needs of their development. In all likelihood, these locations will change at such time as these properties do come forward in the future for development. And this is a tool that is a flexible tool. So it's not a set in stone tool, but it is something that does allow us to review plats each and every time they come through as development is planned and proposed. So again, with that, I thank you for the opportunity. I know that the P&Z worked hard on this item. They had a number of folks in attendance, and it was a very productive and educational public hearing that was conducted by your Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. I have a question, first of all, because the thoroughfare plan that we did away with, I thought the main purpose was to move traffic more smoothly from west to east and east to west, and was to go all the way to Lamar Avenue. Is that correct?
In essence, that is correct. That's the larger picture. And to take pressure off of existing roadways that are at capacity or where there's more difficulty in making movements without having to get back on the loop highway and add more pressure to the loop highway traffic or to the frontage roads and some of the complications from having to do that and make U-turning movements. But also, it's important to understand that this will serve the development that is intended to occur when it occurs.
But I see that yellow line that goes from the top and ends at 195. That's part of my district, and that road is carrying more traffic than it seems like it was ever intended to. And is that going to dump a lot of traffic onto 195 or to spur 139, which is where the Family Fun Center is? And that's dumping a lot of traffic onto that as a spur, I don't think was meant to be a thoroughfare.
The yellow line actually doesn't exist today. It's a future roadway that that follows kind of the intended pattern of, an extension of the loop that had a similar distance out from the loop from 271 all the way down to Lamar. And so what we did is we deleted from 195 over to Lamar. We haven't deleted the rest of the line. This would make an amendment. The next stage from here would be to study from Stillhouse Road over to 195, perhaps even further toward Pine Mill as part of the next phase of the thoroughfare plan study.
And also, I would add that in time, as we do develop that direction, they're making a point that 195 other roads need to be expanded or built out. The purpose of these plans here is, as we grow, we have a plan to where to put roads. We can't have a spider network of residential roads all over the county. And so we have to have some main thoroughfare roads to collect residential roads, that then feed into the community, and then versus there. So this is more, as Mr. Mack said, a guide to get that traffic flowing smoothly. But yes, you are correct, Mayor, that at some point, when this development happens, there may be potential need for 195 to be potentially expanded at that point.
But I would think we would need to discuss that with the traffic engineer at TxDOT and see if they're okay with this, because you don't see very many FM roads that get expanded, but you don't see many as busy as 195 either. I guess what I'm questioning is why we don't have a traffic engineer outside of staff to look at this, and is this the best option? Are there other questions or discussion?
I would agree. I'm not to diminish anything that Mr. Mack and his team has done, but I'm just curious to see what is the outlook of a traffic engineer. And it seems like for many, many years, we've talked about this from North Main all the way to Lamar, and it's been deleted, it's been amended, it's been changed. Can we look at this with a firm? Is there a firm that we could talk to? Is there engineers, an engineering firm that we can talk to properly devise a plan for the future that may not be, how can I say, just, it could happen theoretically, but actually put it in to action? Because the reason why I ask is there's a lot of landowners, and much of this falls into my district. I think majority of these blue lines fall into my district. And so the reason why I ask is I have a lot of citizens, a lot of constituents asking me, in particular, that top blue line, A8, where the Lewises own much of that property in their family. They raised a good question at P&Z is, what if we object and say, look, we're not really in favor of this road coming through our property? I mean, there's nowhere else to really go. And so I really want to think about this a little bit more, have a broader discussion about this, get some other heads at the table and figure this out. But, until we really sit down and talk, this could just be another revision to 30 more revisions down the way, years down the line. And so I don't want to keep kicking the bucket. I commend you for, what you're doing here. I think that we really need to have this discussion, but we really need to, in my opinion, get some engineers together. Let's all sit down and figure this out and find the best route that we can take for the future. I mean, is there any other thoughts to this?
I'd like to offer some
Please.
feedback, if I could, back to that point. Our city engineer has been working with staff on this over the past year, discussing it continuously, trying to come up with practical solutions, how we can run projected lines through property that doesn't impact people's properties. I think we took that to the next level by actually working with the owners of the property, by notifying them, allowing them to come in and provide valuable feedback. The last point I want to make is we did just hire, and a brand new city engineer has just started. He looked at this very carefully today as we discussed it with our development team. And of course, he's brand new. He doesn't know the community, but he looked at this and thought a lot of this made quite a bit of sense. But whatever the council's wishes are, if you want us to take a step back and further analyze and study this, we're happy to do so. That just means that what's on the maps today, what's on the books, is what we will regulate by, because it does tie back to our ordinance, which does require us to analyze this plan before we approve plats. And to make those dedication requirements, that's pretty much where the rubber hits the road, is somebody comes in to develop, brings us a plat, as in the North Lamar School District, and now we have to face, okay, where should that road go? The line says it goes through your property, let's figure out the best route. And that's exactly what we did. We figured a way to bend the line around the new school that's being built in a way that serves the needs of the development, as well as the community.
And I appreciate that. We don't want that to happen. I was at that planning and zoning meeting, and there was good discussion, and appreciated the citizens that came forward. It's just that I'm not comfortable until a traffic engineer has seen it. There's all kinds of engineers, and they all have specialties. And there's general engineers, and, they do a lot of stuff that they know about, but that's a very specific skill. And I just wonder if we're missing something that a traffic engineer might help us with, so that we don't dump problems on councils and staff down the road.
I would suggest that if we were to take a step back, entertain going out for bids, we wouldn't do it for one section of the community. We'd look at the entire plan.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that would be
Yes.
a much bigger
Absolutely.
chunk to bite off for a project. That's perhaps, we didn't do that at staff level. We don't have the capacity.
Sure.
And we certainly, I'm not going to claim to have expertise as a traffic engineer
Yeah.
for master thoroughfare planning. Just in terms of how we implement it, that's our primary responsibility.
I think that looking at it from a 30,000-foot view is going to be a lot better for our community to understand, hey, this is what the future looks like, right? And to get it pen to paper, this is it. This is how it's going to go. But this is a big undertaking, and I do appreciate you and your staff really coming together, and the citizen input was really important. I know in the past it hadn't been done. I'm pretty positive that citizens really appreciated that, but I just felt like, what if someone couldn't make it to that meeting? They could come today, but even then, what if someone's traveling, something happens? I mean, we want to give these citizens ample time to be able to discuss property rights and have this discussion. But I think in the interim, this would be a great opportunity to look at different avenues to see what are our options holistically as a community for an actual master thoroughfare plan for the whole town.
Yeah, and I don't see what it would really hurt to put another eye on it. And they might come back and say, hey, the project or the plans that they have in place are perfect. That's the way we should go. But it would not hurt for a project this big to put another eye on it. Someone would, like the mayor said, with that, in that area of expertise.
Any other comments or questions? I would like a motion. I will entertain a motion.
Mayor,
to-
we still have
oh.
a public hearing to do as well.
Oh, okay, all right. I will now open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this item to please come forward.
Good evening.
Hi, Tommy.
My name is Tommy Haynes, and my family and I own 120 acres on the west side of Stillhouse Road, which joins North Lamar School on most of it on the north and the west side of the property. As you know, North Lamar is building a new large elementary school that joins our property on our west side, and they join North Lamar, or North Main Street, next to the administration building. We did not know about the new master thoroughfare plan until North Lamar was notified that they would need to redraw their new building plans because it interfered with the master thoroughfare plan. I received a letter on December 22nd, 2022 from Andrew Mack regarding the master thoroughfare plan that was adopted by the city of Paris on October the 8th, 2018. None of us knew anything about the master thoroughfare plan for 4 years. The master thoroughfare plan starts on the new North Lamar Elementary School property, and their road will be several hundred feet short of our west property and go all the way to our frontage property on Stillhouse Road. Andrew has given me two possible changes that have caused the amount of acres on our property to be changed and also cut into our frontage property on Stillhouse Road, which will affect 45 to 50 acres of our property. We are requesting that our frontage property be removed from the master plan and would like to meet with Andrew Mack on our property to consider a change. I'm requesting that you table the vote on our property tonight, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Any questions, Tommy?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. I would like to make a motion that we table this item and direct staff to consider having further study on a comprehensive plan by a traffic engineer.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 26, receive a presentation regarding private funding for an Eiffel Tower to be constructed and placed inside the airport terminal at Coxfield Airport. Mr. Pilgrim.
Real simple, not going to take much time. Me and the mayor and Mahir may have been with us as well. This was the mayor's idea, and I think it was a collaborative idea, I guess. But we're trying to better the airport. We want to put basically a mini Eiffel Tower, almost a direct scale model of it in the entry of the airport terminal at the FBO there at Cox Field. I've got a kind of an idea of where we're going to be on expenses on it. It's going to be somewhere between $12,500 and $14,000 total. We're actually going to get it drawn, do it right, make it look nice. Also probably powder coat or some kind of nice finish of paint to match exactly what we have down at the Civic Center. We're going to do it with totally private funding. The only reason I brought it to the council and wanted to, if there was any plus or minuses, or if somebody wanted to get in with me to kind of help raise a little bit of the money, we're thinking that $14,000 probably do 5 to 6 donors total, and I'm guessing that's probably going to be some of our current proprietors at the airport would probably be interested in that. Maybe some local banks or something do a small plaque donated by as an added piece to kind of welcome you a little bit. Our FBO, they've worked tirelessly to try to put together something a little bit nicer than what we have. It looks a lot better, but it's still kind of a boring place, and there's a lot of people that come from out of town that come in and out of that building daily. I think it would be a good welcome item to folks coming in on, even if they're coming in for fuel or if they're coming in for business, just as a welcoming deal, if there's, anybody has any idea of this is not an action item, it's not a budgetary item, we don't have to go get 9 bids, we don't have to do anything outside of the realm. We have a couple of guys that helped build the original tower out at Love Civic Center, and that's all the information we have on that tower. We know that it was built with a conglomerate of people in Paris, I think back in the 80s or 90s, and then it was added onto, and then it was put down here, and then it was repainted again, and they did some repair on it at one time. We don't have a drawing of it. We don't really have much of anything. So we had some ideas to maybe help maybe PJC or somebody in that has some computer drawing software to try to alleviate some of that cost, but also have some involvement from the community as far as just a fab drawing of it. We've contacted North Texas Fab to help us put together the project. They have the ability and everything. They kind of give us a ballpark on what we think. And like I said, the drawing is the big piece of it that I need to put together. But long story short, I'm going to go to start working on it. I'd be really happy if anybody wanted to help me collect some money on it. That'd be great. But we'll, through Grayson and however we need to legally do, put together some of that. We need probably some direction there. But
Mr. Pilgrim, I wouldn't mind helping to raise any funds that we need, so I'm right there with you.
if anybody has any constraints, or we kind of had a measurement. We measured the height that you could go in the airport, and I don't have those figures right on me. I think it was 11 feet tall. That was with the hat on top of it. And if you take that and you divide it by the one that's out here, the base works out perfectly, and then do some kind of rug or piece of carpet of some kind that looks nice with maybe even a Paris, Texas seal or something. We don't know exactly what all that looks like, but kind of let the airport manager take over from there. But we're going to, again, raise the money probably between 5 to 7 individuals or businesses or something. I would think we'd just take the cost and divide it by that and let those 5 take over, or 6, and put a nice small plaque, donated by whatever companies want to be involved with that. And then we're going to have to put it in 2 pieces to get it through the door, et cetera, et cetera. Mainly wanted feedback if anybody had any. If not, it's not an action item, but wanted everybody to be kind of aware that that was kind of a thought we're working through, and if anybody has anything, they can add to it anytime, or call me, or we can.
Any comments?
It's a great idea. What's the anticipated time frame that you're thinking?
Forever. I think we started working on this thing we got busy. We had some EDC stuff we were working on. The mayor got busy. Everybody that was involved with the deal, the company that North Texas Fab got busy. Of course, end of the year then came around, and so now I told the mayor that I'm going to get back on that, because I told her I'd try to get something put together that we could get it put out there. And I get asked to fundraise a lot. I do a lot of fundraisers for Boy Scouts and churches and different things. And Delta County Waterfowl was kind of how this got started. And Sean Warner at North Texas Fab is a friend of mine, and he works through that foundation, or through that nonprofit. And I was talking to him. I said, man, and he goes, well, I think 2 of their guys that still work for him, or one of them's retired, that actually helped build the one out here. And I said, we need all the help we can get on that, because I want it to match. I think that's key, to match a smaller scale item like that. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. But like I say, if anybody has any add-ons to that, it's not we don't have anything really done yet. We're still putting it together, but I'd be open ears if anybody has something to add to it, or if you got somebody that you think might be a good donor, that's even better. We haven't really got in that train yet. So
I think Ms. Ellis might have been involved in some of this original idea, but we've got a lot of people that their only contact with Paris, Texas is Cox Field. So they stop in to fuel, take a rest break. They're going to want to take a picture, and then they're going to put it on Instagram or Facebook, and it gets Paris's name out there in a positive light. So I'm enthusiastic about it. Any other comments? All right. Item number 27, receive a presentation from Solid Waste Solutions regarding outsourcing of solid waste collection and provide direction to staff. Mr. Vine?
Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, good evening. As directed earlier last year by council, staff has begun conducting research into the possibility of outsourcing the solid waste service. At November 14th, council, you gave staff direction to bring SWS here to provide a presentation, so that's what we're here tonight to do. Mr. Lynn Lantrip with SWS has a presentation that outlines what the preparation of the RFP and contract, pre-bid coordination on down to the council presentation and contract negotiations could look like if chosen. The city has the option of including commercial garbage collection, not just a residential, which could ultimately bring in more bids, making the bids more competitive. Of course, the city does have the option of maintaining what we currently do and maintaining the municipal service. So Mr. Lantrip has a presentation tonight. After that, I'll come back up and answer anything that staff can. So we thank him for being with us.
Thank you.
Am I pushing up or down on the pusher?
I believe it's down.
Down, okay.
Welcome to Paris.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I'm Lynn Lantrip, and I'm so happy to be here to talk to you tonight. Solid Waste Specialists is a firm 4.5 years old. If you guys hire us, you'll be our 18th city. God's been very good to us since we started this job 4.5 years ago. My partner, long-term mayor in DeSoto, Texas, is currently the tax assessor collector in Ellis County. It's kind of a weird mix. But, and I'm a 40-year man from waste management, retired, lasted a week, decided that's not for me. So we dove back in where we know cities, we know the elected side. My wife worked for years at the city of Mesquite, the city manager. We know the staff side. I know the garbage business. So let's talk about what I'm going to bring to you tonight. I've got 9 slides. Won't take too much of your time. It's 2 pieces. One, we'll get into the meaty part, the elected part of where you want to go, and then I'll give you a little brief overview of our company and why you might decide to hire us. I reached out to the city manager summer when y'all had some trouble here, and I thought, and I have to admit to you, when the gentleman mentioned 2005, that was me in my former life. And I understand what the public, you got to hear them. So I'm not here tonight to try to tell you what your public's going to say, because I've been awarded this contract once in my life, and then you had that unusual election, and it went the other way. It was just very unusual. But you can do that in Texas. So we're going to just talk about 30,000 feet. We're going to get up there and talk in that range. And why did people, let's see if I can get this, Robert. Not getting, there we go. All right, why did people outsource? This all started in the 80s, picked up a lot of speed in the, right before 93. That's when the federal government put in the new rules for what they call Subtitle D, which really, really made things tough for operating landfills anywhere in the United States. And many, many cities decided to get out of the business. In Texas, y'all are one of very, very few that still do your own. The majority has already outsourced the work. I'll take exception to some of the things that were said earlier, though they had a good point. What Richard and I specialize in is eliminating those problems that were brought up regarding the future, and if you make this decision, how do you protect, because you never give up your responsibility here at the city for garbage collection, regardless whether you do it or pay somebody to do it for you. It's always on your neck. So you know, take that in consideration when you make your decision. Cost savings, that's always the first thing that you bring up, because I'm going to do this in reverse, what I call the 55-40 effect. No matter where you go in this wonderful country, you know, where you go in Texas, all municipal employees work a 40-hour work week. That's the way it's done. In the private business, there's no one that works a 40-hour work week. The minimum they work is 50, and generally they work 55. And that's done so that they can be paid a very large wage for what it is they do. and you can retain your employees. You'd never retain an employee in the private sector with a 40-hour work week. It just won't happen. So I used to tell people, this is not an argument of my daddy is bigger than your daddy. It's simply a computer. 55 hours versus someone running 40 hours, y'all can figure it out right quick. It's a relationship that reduces the need for a number of fleet pieces that are in the street. So you have reduced capital. You do pay your people more, but it's still less expensive to operate. And that brings reduced maintenance because you have less pieces of capital fleet to work with. Increased efficiency, not because it's just a person that is doing this, it's managing this in a private, they're not any better than the people you have here. But the people you have in city government anywhere have a wide scope of things that you guys are called on the carpet for, everything. Whether it's sewer, whether it's potholes, life is big. In the garbage business, you got one thing. That's all you do. That's all you focus on. So it was brought up earlier about your current employees. Well, your current employees, try hard as they may, do an excellent job. This is their life from now till they retire. The most they will do is, unless you pick a different department, but as long as they stay in the solid waste department, this is what they've got for the rest of their life. In the private world, a person, male or female, a lot more female drivers now than it used to be, but a male or female in that trade has promotability that is certainly not relegated to Paris, and it's not relegated to Texas, it's related to the United States. So the ability to go to the top, I'm not kidding you, is really for real. So the ability for people to do more with their life and provide for their families, they start here, they get hired into this new contract, the world is their oyster. Private companies use incentive plans to increase productivity and, most importantly, to increase safety. And it works. Some cities do this, I admit, but very few. They're able to keep their absentee levels lower because of those other two things that they're doing. And lastly, try as you may to do a very good job in safety here in the city, I must assure you, you can never hire in the muscle that is used to do safety in the private businesses. Mostly ex-military, tremendous instructors, daily safety programs. You can't escape it. They just stand on your head. They're really good. There's generally a revenue increase to the general fund. I'm going to hold a little bit on this because I'm going to talk to you about the commercial segment in a minute, because that's where the money really starts to come in to the city without increasing the cost of the businesses. Rate control. When Richard and I started this consulting business, we knew from having responded to literally thousands of these RFPs in my career, seeing contracts that were horrible and left the door open for less scrupulous people to take advantage of the city. And he and I looked at each other and said, we're going to stop that. And we have, effectively, 17 times prior. And if you check with our references, you're going to see the success we've had with those contracts, where we lay the control of the future of the rate squarely on the shoulders of the people sitting right here. And that's the way the contract is written, and it has stops. If you go into the commercial, whether it's Paris or any place else, if you go to Dallas, it is unlimited price increasing in the commercial world. Those of you that have a business here may have experienced that. What an outsourced contract allows is it lets the business person who could never get the leverage to get the best price, it's a business owner, versus all of your business people are in play when the council does this, and you decide that this is going to be the service and this is going to be the price, and then that's it. There's nothing added to it, and it works. My wife finished her career with Texas Municipal League insuring cities like Paris and others for property and casualty, and she said, make sure you don't forget this, because that is now your bailiwick. You've got the liability for everything that happens in the garbage world, and it is the second most dangerous, right behind police, in the United States, is the garbage business. And that's on your back. it comes off of your back and goes on the back of a company that wins, and they take care of that going forward. Lastly, to replace your fleet, you may have a fund balance that you're watching and you're letting it come up, but many cities have to do a bond to get fleet, and that goes away. You don't need to worry about a bond election to get trucks because the monkey's on the other people's backs. When I write an RFP, we make it real clear that, especially on a deal like this, where you're coming from nothing to something, the RFP would demand brand new equipment. The RFP would demand brand new dumpsters. The RFP would demand brand new roll-offs. In other words, a complete new look for the city. And that demand doesn't stop there. The longest time that the fleet can be operated under that contract is 10 years. Garbage trucks will easily run 15, but between 10 and 15 years is when they start leaking and you got problems out there and you get complaints at your level, and we write something that stops that. As I told you earlier, we know all the things that people can do, and I know how to write to stop it. Your consideration of this may happen even for the staff, professional staff, may happen one time in their career. 2 times would be wow. But the people that participate in this to bid, they do this every month somewhere. So they know every trick of the book. And you guys can't know that. You got all those other things you have to, so that's what you hire me to do, to protect you. Now, you have a very unique situation here. So I'm just going to address it square up. You have an excellent landfill contract here, and that's great. That protects your citizens, protects the city with a rate that is structured. It's a good contract. The only thing that has to go in there are the houses. The commercial businesses could go elsewhere, but because it's there, and because of what's happening in our economy today, if you guys decide you want to look at having someone else serve you, and you only put the houses out, while you have a lot of houses, the only bid you're going to receive is from the excellent firm that is doing your landfill contract. That's the only person that's going to bid. They have a yard here. They would provide great service. It's not exactly the best thing in the world, but that's the reality. I polled, just so you know, I went ahead and polled all the people we work with in the state, and it say, if it's the houses only, will you play? No. They cannot get the capital at their corporate office or bank financing. They can't get it to serve this house count, especially the national firms who generally have, it's not arrogance, it's just business policy. They often will not participate unless they can put the garbage in their landfill. That's just a business policy, a business decision. There are some in the middle between the national level. We don't want somebody in here that's, you don't want some little, this is no place to just practice and learn how to get in the garbage business. If we write this RFP, somebody's got to have horsepower to participate. So if you just decide that you just want to do the houses, we'd be happy to serve you in striking a deal, a good contract with the only person that's going to participate. It's a strange conversation, I admit that to you, but I'm telling you the truth. So the only way you can do what I'd call a normal RFP and really get things stirred up competitively is you have to throw the more profitable piece into the mix. That's the dumpsters and the roll-offs. That's where the money is in the garbage business, just so you know. The money's not in the house collection. It's just quite frankly, it's a feeding service to get garbage into the landfill. That's how it's done. So the dumpster business and the roll-off business, the people I polled, well then that's a different story. Well, I know it is. So we would get some participation here. We'd even have one national that would participate here. You want to have people fight for this work if you're going to even consider this. So that's the Parish situation. It's just, I'm laying it out really the way it is. if you did decide that you wanted to look at everything, we're going to get a good football game going. All right, what do you end up with? The city gains pricing leverage. I brought this up earlier, that no business person can ever do individually. Just, I don't care how much service they have, they're still just a business. When you have all of these dumpsters and all that revenue at y'all's control, you control the price. The business person now has a set price. There'll be no more fuel adjustments. There'll be no more unusual pricing, because everything's under city council control. Once everybody fights for this business, it's just cast in concrete. He is correct when he brought up the fact these contracts are 10 years or more, many of them. Let's take the city of Arlington. The city of Arlington was contracted in 1951. They have the same contractor they've had since 1951. Now, if it was not possible for a city council to control that vendor, I could have never said that to you. Just mentally think that through. Almost 70 years. Because the contract is rigorous, and that's what you got to have. All the stopgap measures for service and control are written in that contract. One of the things that I've discovered when I talk to Texas communities, almost 100% of the time, I'll ask these two loaded questions. Do you go after your vendor and penalize them financially when they sin to the degree that you've had it, but you can't fire them? You don't want to fire them. No, they always look kind of sheepish. I said, but does your contract even have it in there? Well, sometimes they're just little things. I said, you have to have something beyond having that vendor stand before y'all and let y'all just waylay on them for about 30 minutes and they go cry and go home. The next day, everybody feels, oh, it's going to be better. And no, it just doesn't. But when you tell them that, well, your bill's going to be reduced $7,000 this month, it'll be a different day at the courthouse. And things change. And I know that. I will share this with you. Having served the largest contract in the South, the city of Fort Worth, 240,000 houses, pretty simple service. It is all residential, by the way, but 240,000 of them. That's why Waste Management, that's why we bid that job and won it. I had a wonderful boss. Ann Reeves was my boss, and we're into the middle of this thing, and I hear her scream my name and come to my office. I go down there. She's holding this piece of paper up. She said, look at this letter from the city attorney of Fort Worth. $60,000 penalty. Now, there's no way that Miss Reeves could just tuck that under a rug. She had to go all the way, humiliation all the way to corporate. Guess what? Didn't ever happen again. So, I understand how liquidated damages work. So our contracts are set to protect the city, not protect the vendor. So, I'm going to go through these next slides pretty quick because I've been up here long enough. Why even consider us? We are a very unique company. We're not an engineering company. I've been in many garbage trucks. I understand how it works. My partner was a mayor. Now he's a tax assessor. He understands how it works too from the elected official side. So we bring a lot of experience to you. Out of the other cities we've served, we have 6 things we focus on. Balancing the pricing. As I mentioned to you earlier, the houses, not so profitable. Commercial, that's where the money is. So how we used to bid the work, I would push this down and raise this up. You won't have a room full of business people in here screaming because they're paying $5 too much. You will have a room in here full of residents screaming when they do. So we all understand how this works. But you don't want to get so carried away that the houses are way down here and you're just killing the businesses. You don't want to do that. So we know how to balance that. And in our RFP, we talk about that. We use a city-approved annual rate increase method in the document. If you guys don't like it, we'll change it, but whatever we end up with, that's what the vendor's going to use, is what you guys want to see. The contract is sent with the RFP. We've learned to do that because, once again, you guys approved that contract, and so when the vendors come to the pre-bid, they go, what's this? Why is the contract here? Because the city's already approved this RFP, and they've approved this contract, so when you go bid the work, tell your attorney that's what the city wants to see. So bid to those documents. Contingency pickup. All of y'all have heard of situations where, yeah, the garbage gets picked up, that's not where the problem is. Usually it's brush. But bigger problems, you got parties and you have things that happen in life, and you got to have contingencies to not leave your residents sitting there holding the bag. They're going to call you, but we try to come up with something. We don't try, we do. We have something to cover every possible contingency that would happen at someone's home. I talked about the liquidated damages earlier, and most specifically, when we write to eliminate ambiguity. Everything that we do is reviewed by you before it goes into play. We do the pre-bid. I think the success of our process, I'm an old Keep Texas Beautiful man. President of that board, my wife was president of that board. We understand what grassroots is. And so we believe in a grassroots process from your side so that the people that judge whatever is submitted before it comes before you, you will realize it's your own staff, but it's grassroots prepared, read, and decided on. And then they come up with a recommendation, we take it up here to senior staff, and then we bring it before you. So everything's vetted internally. So that's a recap of everything we do. I have 2 fees down there. I love coming up here, but it does cost me money and a hotel. So if I don't have to do that as many times, there's a little bit of a less of a fee because I can do some of this by Zoom. And so that's our fee. Now, most importantly, and I will share the advantage of me ending my career at Waste and having 14 southern states, is I spent a lot of time in Florida. And when I was in Florida, I noticed every job that went out had a consultant. Same guy, quite frankly. And then I noticed that every one of those had a big old thing bolded, the winner pays the city back for the consultant. I thought, made a few inquiries. They said very common. Found a city attorney down in Kyle, Texas, asked her. I said, can I do that here? And they said, absolutely. So once I learned, the last 17 of these have been done exactly that way. The city is reimbursed by the winner for what these fees are from us. The only fee I didn't put in there is, and I'll sum this whole thing up, you can either stay in the business and do nothing. That's one option. You could look at putting the houses out. You're going to have the one vendor. Good company, but you don't have a contract to play with, and that's what we could do for you for exactly 50% of that. We would negotiate a contract for you if you want to go with that option, just to put the houses out. But make no mistake about it, it won't be. I even called Oklahoma and Antlers to see if that guy would come down here and participate. No. So you're just going to have the one participant if you just put the houses out. If you roll it all together, there's going to be some players in here, and it'll be a good football game. And that's what that fee is to cover. I'm trying to encourage you to go the whole. If you're going to do it, put your foot in and go all the way. I'll quit and see if anybody's got any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Landrip. Questions?
I have a
Okay.
couple questions. Mr. Path, how many city employees do we have employed in our sanitation department and the trash department, picking up trash?
We have approximately 9 positions. I think 4 or 5 of them are full-time right now. The others are RPM. I'm not sure the exact right now, so Mr. Smith, do you know the exact number right now we have?
Employees?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I've got 7 full-time
7 full-time,
and 5 RPM.
5 RPM.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I've done traffic and sanitation. My apologies. I've got a total of 11 sanitation employees.
11 sanitation employees right now.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That includes the superintendent and supervisor.
I'm just trying to think here.
How many trucks, how many trucks do we run?
We have a total of 7 trucks right now. We run is it 3 trucks a day?
Yes, sir.
Or sometimes 4 trucks a day. This last summer, when we reduced the routes to once a week, we went from about 6, 7 trucks a day to 3 or 4 trucks a day.
Is it negotiable how many times a week residential trash is picked up?
1 through 7, your call. And you can use carts if you want to use carts. All that is just a trash can decision for you guys. And then the vendor will decide, what kind of equipment to operate. So it's completely what the dream is. You just kind of think about what you've had phone calls bothering you at night. You've had these calls, and what do they want that they're not getting? And how do we cover the fact that every Texas town has landlords? Every Texas town with landlords has the eviction problem, and then what do we find in the front of the house? And so that's got to be covered. And I call it the mother-in-law visit. Everybody's got a mother-in-law that's going to come this Saturday. My trash was picked up Wednesday, and I got a real serious problem here because my wife wants me to do something. We have to write something that gets me out of a jam, and the numbers are already approved by you of what's fixed to take place. All I have to do is make a phone call, no gouging. I'm out of hot water. So we've heard all the things that could happen in the number of days of collection. There's plenty of people. Baytown just did this. They use carts and they're twice a week. Debated on going once a week, would have been less expensive. Council decided they didn't want to tackle that big of a hurdle. So you can ease into a lot of different things. I hope that answered your question.
Mr. Lantrip, quick question. Your track record, you said you've done this 18 times, correct?
You'd be 18.
Would be 18. What is a track record? What's the
unanimous
wins and losses?
We've
here?
had a unanimous vote on our recommendation on every community to date.
Okay.
Now, admittedly, that's because the city managers, but I stand before you and I have to back up whatever it is I recommend, and we've had 100%
Sure.
buy-in.
Other question, would you be able to provide us with that list so that way we can refer and get some references to kind of understand
Absolutely.
how the process worked? I'll be very honest with you, and I don't know how my colleagues feel about this, but today, personally, I feel like I have a lot more questions than I can to like make a decision to say, yes, let's do it.
Sure.
And that's with all due respect to you.
Oh,
think
no, I
your
know
presentation was great.
This isn't a
is
tonight
great.
decision. I
But,
know that.
but
Yeah.
we've got a fiduciary responsibility to our citizens and our constituents to understand what's the burden going to be, right?
Right.
And it's already hard as it is going from what we had before to what we have now to what we could have tomorrow. And so this is a big decision that we've got to make together as a team. The big question I have for you is not only do I want that list of those 17 different cities, but I also want to understand a little bit more of your process and the timeline that it takes.
About 4 months.
4 months, okay.
Yeah, we try to, because I was on the other side of this, I always like to give the vendor a full 30 days from the time that they see this. It'll be, well, I'm not sure what your method is to release it, but from the time they see it to they got about 30 days now, the book's coming in. And then there's going to be a pre-bid a week after that, which I will conduct with the staff's help. And then they have a week to get their questions in, and then it's off to the races. So they end up with about 2.5 weeks of actual writing. The scoring of the way this is done is about 65% of it is on the narrative. Did they write to the judges so the judges understand Paris wants this? Is that what they just wrote? About 35% of it is the price. Now, Baytown went so far, they went 75% narrative and 25% price. It tells you. But the narrative it's going to cover everything from what day do you start, when do you run, based on what you tell them. More importantly, if you did go the whole banana, then, and let's just say the current vendor didn't win. They got a good chance of winning, but they have to come in and produce new dumpsters just like the bidders. They won't be able to use their existing equipment. See, it's going to be an honest football game. So you got to write, how are you going to get that done at the barber shop so that person doesn't, where's my dumpster? That can't happen. Okay, so there's as much in that as there is in the operation piece. Lastly, once again, with my wife's help, she said, don't forget safety. I said, okay, how am I going to do that? Well, there are 2 federal measurements that every garbage company has to turn in every 30 days. And we make that a judging piece, about 7 points. And you may have a great price and you have terrible safety. I would never recommend it to you that you pick that company. I don't care what the price is, right? So we have nitpicked this thing in reverse so that by the time I stand before you and say, this is my recommendation, I won't be looking at the floor.
How about holidays? Obviously, I understand the large holidays, but I mean, in general, because I mean, a
What
big
do they
issue
take?
that, what's that?
What holidays do they take?
Yeah, like in terms of trash pickup, for example, in our quadrant right now, the northeast quadrant gets trash pickups on Mondays. Holiday falls on Monday, or you have the weekend where the holiday falls and the Monday is taken off by most employees. You know, citizens are piling up with trash, and then, I mean, these are issues that I'm getting in my area.
Going back to what the mayor said, it depends on how many days of service you want to end up offering the residents. So if you're on once a week service, that's an easy answer to your question. The Monday people are picked up Tuesday, everything is shoved forward a day. If, on the other hand, you went twice a week, we would have to write something that you guys were happy with, that you knew you could get across to the resident. And that is the final piece of the puzzle for the winner, is from the time that the mayor hits the gavel and says, okay, you win, then there's so many days before that vendor must start educating with approval from the staff, but they must start educating your residents. You want a seamless, no heartache shift, whether it's the houses or the dumpsters. You just don't want a lot of, the whole idea is don't make your phone ring.
I have a question on the commercial side. So would we have to do anything, I guess a question for Grayson first, and then I've got to ask you something. But if we're going to switch to that commercial, offer the commercial component and the residential component, somewhat familiar with that, but I see the capacity and the volume on the business side being a huge saver for Paris. Do we have to do anything governance-wise here? I mean, we've got I don't know how many waste permits we've put in the last couple years I've been on the council, but it's several. Are those guys excluded from operating in the city, or how does that work?
You would probably want to change the ordinance right now that says, it simply says that the city of Paris is the only the only entity that can pick up residential trash. You would probably want to amend that to have it cover commercial as well. We have these year-long licenses, but I'd have to look at one. I don't think there's any guarantee on that. You're not guaranteed that right for a year.
Lynn, is that right?
Right.
Lynn, my concern, we have to replace 4 trucks, and we have to keep 7 to 9 people on staff all the time just for that entity within the city of Paris. We're not competitive. We can't be competitive. We don't own the landfills. We don't have 30,000 employees.
Cards are stacked against you.
Well, I mean, it's just economies of scale. It's basic business principle that we have to look at it, and we will have to go up on our rates as a city. We can't continue to fund a business that does not make money. And increased taxes, increased lawsuit and risk that we have of people getting injured and different things. And we've had some, and then also too, it's like you said, competitive wage is tough when you're running, 40 hours a week, and that's what it is. I mean, I totally get it. I come from the private sector and business where that is the winner. And this was brought up in 2005, and read some notes, also talked to several council members that were there at the time, and it was everything from I like my trash man to, and I'm not, that's okay. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. I like my trash man. I liked the city doing it. I feel more safe there. But these contracts and these agreements and people like yourself, I'm a broker. I don't broker trash service. I broker real estate, but a broker's key in knowing the ins and outs, because even as educated as our staff is, but on the bigger sector of the world, trying to get a waste management or Republic Services or somebody in here that can really keep really nice equipment. I know Mr. Bray used to own the company here, and we, at one time, I was over a lot of trucking side of stuff, and I used to call on him and ask him about different things, and they got to where they were trading their equipment every 3 years.
Yes.
For employee retention, also too, for the look and the nice, I mean, they serviced Camp County where I came from in Pittsburgh, small community, but I got bits and pieces. Now he's since sold and he's out of the business now, but the Waste Management's for Publix, and I can't remember who bought him. Those guys in the world they're vertically integrated, they're competitive, and like you said, they can get people here that, I think too, another concern then was we had a lot more employees in the waste side, and now we've only got 7 or 9, 7 really full-time that we pay, and then we have RPM staffing with 2. But did we not have a conversation that those employees would be utilized in other departments?
Yes, I mean, we don't have a shortage of need for employees. So part of the thing that Mr. Lantrip and we've discussed is employees have an opportunity to transition to the new service if we were to outsource it, or they'd have a home with us.
Cool. So we wouldn't be, nobody would be out of job, nobody would lose any service, because that's the idea and the development of the contract to put together with these things.
Hopefully to enhance the service.
That's,
If you do this right and you poll you guys enough, I can put enough ideas in front of you for you to think through, and then you cherry pick. You say, okay, boy, it'd be great for my quadrant. Now, it will have to go across the whole town, whatever you decide.
there's communities that need to be picked up through, they can afford or they want to pay 3 or 4 day pickup. That doesn't make sense for me or any of my constituents, but 1 to 2 day a week pickup makes sense, or maybe a bi-weekly thing, or something that is conservative price-wise, but also too more service than we're offering now, or able to service. I mean, it's a no-brainer deal, and yeah, we're getting rid of another pain in our side at the city that does not that is costing the taxpayers every year whenever you write your check to the appraisal district for your city taxes. And if we can take those budget constraints down, I mean, it's take those dollars and put them somewhere else, or we can lower our tax rate, be more conservative. I mean, it makes more sense.
I will add something too that came up there. The employees can be taken
Can you
care of.
speak up a little bit, please?
I'm sorry?
Speak up more.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
apologize. There's, I bought Mr. Bray's company 3 times. Great people, I know them very well, and so that's what you still got here. Because each time they went back into business and did a great job of competing. So, would they have the leg up? If you decide to put all this out, would they have the leg up? Yes, they will have the leg up, even though they'll have to put everything new. But they still have the leg up, and that's okay. But what if they lose? They could lose. There's other aggressive participants that may beat them. And if that happens, my recommendation would be, since they've got a revenue base that they're feeding families off of, my recommendation would be we write in the contract that it'll be a full 12 months, subject to your approval. It'd be a full 12 months before the house thing can start right now. And then 12 months from now, this commercial, if they lose, that's how much more money they get before they got to pull out. So once again, we've tried to think through everything that could happen to make the pain as minimal, if that helps. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
A couple of points that Mr. Shank made. If you're sitting in the mayor's seat, it's broken. Believe me, I get lots of calls. And I also have the ear of staff that, people come to work, they work 1 day, 2 days, then they quit. It's a hard job.
Yes.
We sadly had a death last year of one of the sanitation workers. We do employ a big percent of our sanitation workers are not part-time. They are from the private sector that we're paying. Also, Mr. Shank's been here many times requesting cost of living raises for our retirees, which he's one of, and we do appreciate you. But this is fewer staff that we have to pay benefits and retirement on. And that is a huge incentive for me to look at this, not deciding tonight, but thinking I want to know more.
Okay.
Other comments?
Well, I'm just concerned about the fact that we don't have, now we might, because we've cut our trash service to our residents down to 1 day a week. But before that, I mean, we didn't have the staff to support 2 day a week pickup. They just were not showing up, which is why we're looking at this scenario. We even raised the salary for the individuals working on the trash truck, hoping to encourage some more to come in, and we didn't get it. So we're having to pull people from other departments that, you know, need to be doing city jobs elsewhere, and that's not getting done because they're riding on the back of a pickup truck or on the back of a trash truck, helping alleviate the issue that, you know, we need to to collect the trash. So, you know, this isn't made in light. This is a serious thing where we were really not picking up trash in our town for a long time. Even city manager was riding on the back of a pickup or on the back of a trash truck helping to pick up trash. So trash was running late at night, at dark, you know, in the dark. And I mean, they were trying very hard to meet the needs of our community. But when you don't have the staff, you don't have the staff.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was the issue that I think we're all dealing with now, is that, you know, no staff. So,
And for clarification, we had the staff now. When we raised the pay, that did solve that problem. We've actually not had to use other departments now for quite some months now. So that did work. That now we've also been in the wintertime when it's nicer outside, so we're eager to see how the summer brings out that.
and
so.
we're only down to 1 day a week.
Yes.
We're not running twice a week. So
Yeah.
that's,
Just in a perfect world, can you name 3 or 4 of the, I mean, obviously the local landfill and company that's here, but what would be another, if you did the commercial and the residential component, would be a player in that? Would that be something out of McKinney or?
Republic would likely come up from their landfill south of here.
Okay. Where's their landfill south of here?
Cumbie, I think.
Cumbie, okay.
Yeah. You got to have some place to park the equipment and for the men to report, men and ladies, to report. My own employer won't come over here, but they are not aggressively going after municipal work. I mean, it's just a decision that they've made. There are some regional players. You won't know their names here because they're regional in the Dallas area, but I've got one company in mind that one in Mineral Wells and one in, I can't think, they've won 3 times. And I'm Pearland, yeah, and Pearland was a tough battle. And that's what I'm looking for, and you guys too, you want to have a good football game. You want to know that everybody went all the way. And so when you make a decision and you hire that company, they're going to have to do what they said they're going to do. And we have taxed their writing ability to tell us, and then they're interviewed, and you get to wear them out on that. So it's just like this whole concept is tough for you guys. If you decide to do it, that doesn't lighten anything. This is a tough deal because you never are able to get away from the responsibility. All you're doing is deciding, instead of using your staff, you're going to pay somebody else. But the city is always responsible for health and safety, so that makes this a very serious thing.
Mitigating risk, that's my.
Mitigating risk, yeah.
And budget, I mean.
Staff is looking for direction.
First, real quick, if Mr. Vine could, back to Mr. Ponkich's question about the references. We did reach out to almost all of them, I believe, and so if you can speak to that.
We did. Staff did reach out to a lot of the cities. He had provided us a list several months back, and we talked to a lot of those municipalities, actually all of them on the list, and received multiple accolades. So, and my last city was one of them, so I have firsthand knowledge of that. So it was very good reports from these cities that worked with them.
But we can share that information with you as well. So I just want to let you know, we've done that work, and we can share with you information, and if you want to make a contact with the council member there, we can set that up as well. But yes, to Mayor Portugal's item, this is not an action item tonight. We are making this a multi-step process, and we knew this would be a item you want to consider and discuss. But we are seeking direction. We've done it. We have gone as far as we can go at this point for this process here. There's no more we can do at the staff at this point. We just need to know from you whether we need to. There's more information you need to have. If you can tell us what the information is you need, or if you want us to proceed or not proceed, or Or even we can table this, and if you want to think about what you need from us, we can bring it back another time. But I don't think there's much more we can do until you guide us on what you want us to do next.
I think we should table it, and, there might be more discussion that come up, more things we think about, more information that we need or want. So I think we should table it because, I think it's Mr. Shank's point, once we make this decision, it's permanent. So I think we should table it and just really look at it a little more. And not that you guys can come up with any more information, but we can think of more questions.
Well, I think it also allows us to be able to talk a little bit more in our circles within our districts to say, hey, what are your thoughts? And to Mr. Pilgrim's point, I mean, we're kind of getting to the end of the line here on what we can do as a city with waste. So, I mean, that's just the truth. I never realized that until I got onto council. I looked at the numbers, and that's inevitable.
I'd like to proceed with going forward, finding out information.
Just so I'm clear and everyone else, I've researched your company and you and familiar with you now a couple days ago whenever I got my pack. But if we approve tonight and say we're going to hire them to put the outsourcing deal, that is not the final decision. The final decision would be signing a contract that would be presented. We would go through a full hearing process and all that. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, technically, even at the point of bid, you could still throw out all bids and stop there. Technically, so we could sign a contract with Mr. Landtrip. We can do a process of contract development and bidding. You can get the bids and you can throw them out at that point. You can still stop at that point. So it's once you award a bid, you sign a contract. That's when you've made the decision.
Yeah, I'm with the mayor. I'd like to quit kicking the can down the road and at least get this next process, or the next part of this thing would be to know the fiscal ability of what we can actually do, whether if it's going to be something that's astronomically higher for the citizens or if it's something that makes sense. I'm pretty confident it's going to be probably a lot more permissible for us to go ahead and outsource it. But I mean, we can ask questions in between. I'm assuming that we don't have to, we're not locked into anything. We still have the decision to be made a couple months down the road, 4 months down the road. So
I mean, we're not locking into this 38, 39, and 41 number tonight to get this paid off. Is that correct?
No, we still have to bring a contract back from Mr. Landtrip. And again, that's part of the guidance I'm seeking tonight is do you want to see a contract brought back to you for approval, or do you want to just talk about it before you do that step, or what?
I think in the interim, I think it's great to have our conversations, but I'm in agreement. I think we can go ahead and start that process, in my opinion.
Yeah, with that clarification, I have no problem going forward.
Yeah, no, it's not
towards the
finalized.
contract.
Yes.
Okay, well, with that, we'll work with Mr. Landtrip to draft a contract and bring it back to you. Again, please, if you have any questions, information you would like to have back, get to Mr. Vine and I in the interim, and we'll bring that information back to you. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just
Mr.
want to thank
Landry?
all of y'all for the opportunity to make the presentation.
Thank you. Item number 28, discuss and provide direction of the city manager regarding Dead Cat Media serving as a branding manager.
yes, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Yes, back in February this last year, we partnered with the EDC and the Chamber for an exciting project. We were working with Ms. Hammond and Mr. Allen to do a branding project. We contracted with North Star Marketing and Branding Services and to perform that work. They have given us a final product. We're now in the rollout process, and that takes time. And that is a very complicated process. You don't just do a ta-da moment. You have to. There's presentations. There's a lot involved. They gave us a 300-page booklet on how to do it and what not to do. So with that, the primary need is that we need a branding manager, whether it's a person or persons, to help manage this process. This is a multi-month process to do this. And so working with Ms. Hammond and Mr. Allen, they have recommended that we work with Dead Cat Media, a local entity in town. They're on 27 Clarksville Street right there, just right on the other street over here. They have excellent experience in this field. Because speed is the key here, the three entities working together, I don't have a contract for you tonight to consider, although we do have a scope of service we're working through. I am requesting permission tonight that you authorize me to work with EDC, the Chamber, and DECAT Media to develop a contract to bring back to you. And then also, if you could authorize me that in good faith, up to $15,000 to get them started. Obviously, not $15,000 right away, but overall life of the contract here. So we can get going, get started here, if that made sense. But I would bring back to you a contract on the 13th of February. But what I'm trying to say is between now and then, permission to get started so the EDC and Chamber and the city can get going on a rollout project. So apologize, it's a little convoluted there, but any questions or you have for me or?
Well, it's a local company, very adept at what they do, and I'm very supportive of it.
Absolutely. Couldn't have picked a better organization to work with locally. I really appreciate that, so.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree
I've had
wholeheartedly.
I think you have your direction.
Pleasure working with them a few times. They're great.
Yeah, very good group of folks.
All right.
I'll work with DECAT Media in the meantime and bring a contract back to you on the 13th and authorize them to get started in the meantime, assuming we can get a scope of service ironed out. I won't get them started until I feel comfortable that we are good to go.
Leah's been very patient through a long meeting. Thanks for being here. Item number 29, discuss and act on a resolution awarding the City of Paris grant application and administrative services with GrantWorks, Inc. for the 2023 Texas CDBG Main Street Program and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Vine?
Mayor Pro Tem Council, good evening again. The staff has worked on a grant, a CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant for our First Street Southeast program. Our project between Lamar and Clarksville, it's going to be a sidewalk and a street improvement. We're very excited about that. The grant is for $575,000. $500,000 of that is state portion, and then 15% of that is the city's match. So state requirements is we have to put out at least 5 state-qualified grant-writing firms to be contacted through RFP. We put out 6. Of that, we only had GrantWorks was the only one that responded back to us. So staff recommendation is that we use them for our administrative services for that particular grant.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Vine or Mr. Edwards is here? All right. I will hear a motion.
So moved.
Well, and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 30, discuss and act on a resolution awarding the City of Paris grant application and administrative services with GrantWorks, Inc. for the 2023-24 Texas CDBG Community Development Fund and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Vine?
Mayor Pro Tem Council, again, we have another grant. It's a Community Development Block Grant. This one is for a sewer improvement project. It's approximately 2,000 linear feet in the northwest section of the city. It does serve approximately 215 homes and a school, Travis School, and this is replacing aging infrastructure with brand new pipe, brand new sewer. Again, this is a $500,000 state portion, and then the city has a 15% match, which will be $75,000. We had to put out again 5 RFP requests or packets. We did receive 2 responses, and then we had Mayor Pro Tem, myself, Planning Director Andrew Mack, and then our new engineer, Todd Mitke. We broke him in, and we had 2 responses, and that group, individuals that you just heard, graded or scored these 2 potential entities. The 2 entities were GrantWorks and let me see, it's KRSB, I believe. I'm sorry, KSBR. So of the 2, GrantWorks received the higher score, so staff recommendation is that GrantWorks be provided the administrative services for this particular grant.
Okay, any discussion? I'll hear a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 31, convene into executive session pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and/or 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter. Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and/or 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter, to wit, Houchins versus City of Paris. The time is 7:10 p.m., and the city council is convening into executive session. Item number 32, reconvene into open session and possibly take action on matters discussed in executive session. The time is 8:08 p.m., and the city council is now in open session. I will entertain a motion to approve the settlement negotiated at mediation, subject to obtaining a survey conveying an appropriate easement approved by the city manager and legal counsel, and to approve the city manager to execute a settlement agreement approved by our city attorney and defense counsel.
So moved.
And that's in the Houchins versus City of Paris case.
Yep, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item 33, consider and approve future events for City Council. Anyone have anything? Item number 34, adjournment. I'll hear a motion in a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.